Hi, I'm Mirek Hanschel, and I use Minecraft in computer science and chemistry at my school. And you are listening to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Jo Yardley.
Why are you not using Second Life? You traitor, you.
Just kidding, yeah. Because I can teleport people.
You have God powers, that's why, right?
I have the power.
Hello there and welcome to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Jo Yardley. My name is Drax Dupre. I'm here with Jo Yardley, 1920s Berlin. Hi and welcome back, Jo.
Hello.
So today on the show, you heard it in the station ID, Mirek Hanschel, who uses Minecraft to teach chemistry and computer science from 6th to 12th graders at a German gymnasium. Gymnasium, by the way, is the equivalent of high school plus 1 or 2 years of junior college.
That's like 3 times as smart as I am.
Yeah, and he's using Minecraft, Joe, not that Second Life crap that you're wasting your time with.
It's so ugly. I can't help it.
Second Life listeners, do not turn off this show just yet, because even if you're not into Minecraft, this is a great interview with Mirek, who is a very passionate educator, and he put a lot of thought into using virtual worlds and games to the cause of giving kids a truly holistic education. So there's a lot of applicable stuff here in terms of intrinsic motivation and so on and so forth. Very applicable to any teacher using SL or OpenSim in the classroom. And I believe to anyone who is going to use Project Sansar in that same vein, Linden Lab's Next Generation Virtual World. The challenges will be the same because we're dealing with little human beings.
Students who use Second Life or Sansar in school are potential users.
Yeah, it's like dealing weed on the campus, and then later they go from
get them hooked young.
Exactly, you got it. Start in kindergarten. Mirek also starred in the documentary Virtualize It by director Phil Thoma, streaming now on Spiegel.tv in German. The English subtitles are coming in a week or so. We'll keep you posted. The documentary is great. It features humanoid animations, Matt P, Brick from Feed a Smile, Mimi Ali, the musician. It's marvelous. Real quick couple housekeeping notes, and then we have an unscheduled thing that we taped yesterday. You can get in touch with us. You know that. Avatar Drax Files. Skype is Drax Files as well. The email to the show is radio@draxfiles.com. You can become a sponsor. You have your banners displayed on the website, mentioned every single show. We also do occasional giveaways. You can support the show on an individual basis. $100 Linden per month will throw you a cool subscription device made by Chris Lehman from Botanical. Our newest subscriber, welcome Dwarfins.
Yay.
So I don't think the Dwarfins need any introduction. Joe, they don't look like 1920s, but they look pretty cool.
I talked to the Dwarfins people about perhaps sort of creating Dwarfins that are the same, do the same, except they don't look the same. They look like regular avatars. Mm-hmm. It's probably, they had a look at it. It's not quite possible yet, but maybe in the future.
So get yourself some Dwarfins. Click on the banner. Get yourself some Dwarfins. They drink beer. They make their own buildings, and they fight. They do all sorts of things.
They're trouble in a good way.
They procreate with their clothes on. Sorry.
Phew, thank God for that.
So now here for the unscheduled little piece that we're going to run now before we go to Mirek and his Minecraft educational miracle. See what I did here, Joe?
No.
We're going to listen to Hamlet Wagner James Au, who runs the New World Notes blog. He was an embedded journalist for Linden Lab since before SL went public in 2003 even. Hamlet has been documenting Second Life for Linden Lab and is now independent. Now, I think it's not an overstatement that quite a few people in the active SL community consider Hamlet a little bit out of touch with what is happening in Second Life. And a frequent criticism I hear is that Hamlet is benefiting from juicy headlines a la SL is dead, the sky is falling, the revenue model is not sustainable, therefore death is imminent.
Yeah, I think that's what the hip, groovy young people call clickbait.
Right. It's been alleged that Hamlet is actively using this to gain clicks. I want to say for the record, those are not actual headlines that are cited. Those are just my words trying to describe a theme.
I'm all in favor of clickbait, to be honest. I don't mind clickbait as long as the article is, makes sense.
Well, let's move on because people may not know what we're talking about. People, I talked to her saying that he's cashing in on these clicks because of his emphasis on those types of doomsday stories. People also say he's not logging in anymore. He's not on the ground, so he doesn't know what's going on. So he's focusing also too much on the salacious pixel sex part of Second Life. Now, last week, Hamlet wrote an article in response to a fabulous article on Atlas Obscura, written by Eric Grundhauser. Mm-hmm. Atlas Obscura is kind of like a travel website, and the article is about a little journey into Second Life. The journey was facilitated by Ziki Questi, our fabulous blogger and photographer.
Yeah.
She was Eric's tour guide. They visited a bunch of builds, and the article is uniformly positive. Kind of surprised in tone, Eric is, that Second Life is so vibrant with sort of the artistic user that is really driving this forward, despite the media not even covering it. So a breath of fresh air. Hamlet wrote in response to this article a post where he says it's not okay to write an article that glosses over the fact that sex is a prime factor in Second Life activity and economy. And people got really, really mad at Hamlet.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, people feel a bit attacked when people are saying this about their world, because I think that for quite a lot of people, the adult entertainment, let's call it that, side of Second Life is either a very small part of what they do, or it's no part at all. So, and it is also the reputation that we are trying to sort of leave behind us. We're not denying that it's part of Second Life. We're not denying that it's a big part of Second Life. But, it's a big part of the internet. But that's not what I show people when I'm trying to show them how the internet works.
We talk about this all the time, Joe, that our consensus between us is that the commercial media disproportionately covers these types of stories, and really those positive stories of the likes that Atlas Obscura was doing are really far few in between. I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves, because we actually had Hamlet on. We taped the conversation yesterday. If you, dear listener, completely missed this latest drama, please read the original Atlas Obscura article and then read Hamlet's reply. Form your own opinion and listen to his side of the story.
Also, make sure you read the comments.
Right, especially yours, Joe, which is 3 pages long.
It's not. I was holding back.
Whatever you think of Hamlet, we thought it was appropriate to give him opportunity to tell his side of the story, what the impetus was behind him writing this. Here's the tape. I want you to tell us what do you think you published, and why did you do it, what you did with this post.
Yeah, so I was looking at the Atlas Obscura post on the weekend. Actually, it was another Linden veteran, Haney Armstrong, who I started with at Linden Lab in 2003. And he passed it along, so I was reading it. And yeah, I think overall it's a really good post in the sense that it highlights a lot of the great content. And really the post, and I was kind of in a Monday morning crabbiness, and I blogged this paragraph that he included at the end, which to me was kind of sloppy reporting, where he was like, well, I was expecting to see a lot of sex and weirdos, but it turns out there's all this great content. And the thing is, it's very true that there's a lot of great Second Life content, but it's sort of like doing a report of San Francisco and sort of saying, oh, yeah, I went there and the cities are paved with gold and it's perfect. And, if you want to do a really thorough travel log of a place like San Francisco, let alone Second Life, you want to mention, okay, well, some of these areas are bad, and maybe mention something about the political, economic climate, disparity between the rich and poor, that kind of thing. And I'd say the same thing of trying to get a handle on what Second Life is in its totality. And that's always been my commitment, even when I was at Linden Lab. I was kind of surprised, a little hurt, like Ziki Questi, I think, I say with respect, I think she kind of misread what I was saying, and I tried to expand on it. But, ironically, she also helped me write a Polygon post about AM radio and the Second Life art scene in general, which actually is a much, much larger outlet. I think Obscura gets about 1 million page views a month, and Polygon is more like in the 8-10 million. And yeah, totally positive. I do mention, yes, there is some weird sex stuff, just because for honesty's sake, you have to say that, because the audience is already thinking, the mainstream audience is already thinking, well, isn't Second Life the weird one with all the weird furry sex?
But that's where I have to chime in, because I totally understand where you're coming from. But here's my question. Is it really necessary? You're making a good argument that when you go to San Francisco and, you're doing a piece about great architecture, let's say, or the Golden Gate Bridge and some history. And actually, I talked to my wife earlier and I asked her, would it be okay to not mention the fact that there's a lot of disparities and a lot of homeless people? And I would argue it depends on the outlet. If I write for The Nation magazine or something and I want to have a piece about the opportunity in San Francisco, I need to mention the fact that there are big disparities. If I'm doing a travelogue and I'm picking some stuff out that I really like myself, like some restaurants or whatever, I don't think it's necessary to delve into the social issues. And mind you,
Absolutely.
people know me.
I live in Amsterdam, I live in Sin City, depends if you're writing for Fox News or for, something more general about different cultures and things like that. I would love anyone to write about Amsterdam without mentioning the prostitutes and the drugs, because I live here. And oddly enough, I've never been to a prostitute and never done drugs.
Real quick, Joe, because I want to mention this because I understand Hamlet, because you also mentioned, when a noob comes in. I agree with you that when you write something like this and then a noob comes in and he has issues and he doesn't see any of this awesome content that Eric Grundhauser picked for this article and Ziki pointed out to him, that is an issue. But I just don't think that this particular venue of Atlas Obscura, just like let's say a National Geographic pictorial about African culture, if I don't see any starving babies, is that still a good article? Well, it depends on the context.
I'd say it's racist and dishonest, and actually National Geographic has been penalized for doing that. It's just trying to cover all the pretty stuff about Africa, in this case, without the realities. And to get back to the San Francisco analogy, I lived in San Francisco for over 10 years, and anytime I would read a travelogue that would talk about the Mission District without mentioning the fact that there's junkies and human poop on the street, I'd go, this is really dishonest. And also, I would end up having to engage with friends who visit San Francisco saying, hey, how come I didn't hear anything about this? I'm like stepping on human poo, and I wasn't warned about this in the travelogue. And in the same way, I've encountered this over and over again with reports I've done and helped do, like for Wired magazine, about Second Life. And in the beginning, I would mainly focus on only the positive stuff, but then I'd get all this pushback of, yeah, but you didn't mention like the furry with the giant dildo on his head, which hit me the moment I
have never seen a furry with a giant dildo. I know where you're coming from.
You gotta get out more.
Okay, well, I'm in there every day, and Hamlet, I totally understand your point. And you're talking to someone who listens to Democracy Now! For 3 hours in the morning and then reads The Nation magazine cover to cover. And if they are not really delving into the issue, I would cancel my subscription and I would yell at the publisher. But my point is, we have a perception of Second Life, and I don't hold people accountable if they sugarcoat stuff, but the perception is so sticky. I just don't see the purpose when once in a lifetime, once far and few between these days, something positive comes out. Why do we have to then go?
I think it's possible to be positive and at the same time acknowledge the darker side. And
isn't that what the article did? I mean, it starts with mentioning Second Life being known for sex, and it even its last sentence says, there is plenty of weird sex in Second Life. I mean, it mentioned it twice. I mean, what else do you want?
He mentions it briefly without mentioning how prevalent it is, and you are likely to encounter it. I mean,
I don't see it. That's why I disagree.
I've been kicked to an adult sim because the region I was trying to get to didn't exist, and I ended up at an adult telehub where people are having sex. I mean, that's happened to me. And really, people got to know that. And I just, to continue off that, I just don't think he covered it enough. Please look at my Polygon story. I mentioned in about 2 paragraphs. Yes, there's a lot of bizarre, weird stuff about that. And really, that's the necessity, because we are dealing with an assumption. The main assumption and perception of Second Life is it's about kinky sex.
Isn't the media culpable for creating that perception?
Only to a small degree. I think what really is going on is social media has spread that perception. If you go, the largest YouTube videos about Second Life, the biggest one is this kind of simulated childbirth, which is not sexual per se, but it's extremely graphic. And then there's all of the trolling videos, which are generally pornographic or obscene in nature. And then you ever heard of Ralph Please Go? That's also a giant meme. Google it, Ralph Please Go. It's one of the hugest memes. It's an internet meme about Second Life, and the meme is about kinky sex, basically, or sex in front of a goblin. Look it up.
But here it is. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
really,
that green guy, the green goblin.
Yeah, the perception exists, and it's actually being created outside of the traditional media channels to a certain extent, mainly because nobody really covers Second Life that much anymore in the mainstream media.
Isn't that the echo chamber? Isn't that a self-fulfilling prophecy? I mean, like I said, Hamlet, I'm not advocating to sugarcoat anything. If you're a role that you think you have, you or anybody, the timer's done, but let's keep going.
Sure.
If you define yourself as an investigative journalist, not you or anyone, then I think they do have a duty to look at things in more detail.
If you look at my blog and the stuff I've written about it, it's 80-90% positive about Second Life, and it's a matter of trying to cover the whole picture. Mm-hmm. And the balance is really hard to make. I mean, when I was at Linden Lab, I was accused of not covering the negative things and not being critical of Linden Lab, and I'm like, well, I'm a contractor for Linden Lab, so I'm already kind of have a conflict of interest. But really,
yeah, but you'll always get that, no matter what you write about. But
yeah,
what I think is very interesting is that for many people, Second Life is something completely different. So you can't really get everyone. You can't write and describe the experience as it is for everyone. And of course, Second Life has this adult content. And even though some of the most visited sims are rated XXX adult, whatever, some of them are just nude volleyball beaches. But what I also think is just because Second Life is declining, is it actually dying? I mean, the use of words, because it's been growing and then it's been declining, and it's been declining for a while. Absolutely true. And eventually it will go. Of course, everything goes. And when the zombie apocalypse happens, the internet goes. So
I need to quickly jump in here, Jo. Because this drives me nuts. I find it, again, sorry, this is just, I'll shut up in a minute. It's counterproductive to me to keep yelling fire on this point. What is the purpose of this?
The purpose is to prepare people for the next generation of whatever this becomes. I hate the word censor, as I've said, but whatever Second Life 2 is, you do need to prepare for that. You need to think about the new 3D tools. You need to think about VR. And really, Second Life was a really great innovator. And it's probably going to exist.
It is, just like my piece of paper here is. I object to that, but we're getting off a tangent. This is a different subject matter. I understand where you're coming from, Hamlet. You have to cover all angles. I don't. You do, and I understand that. Obviously, when you write about Project Sansar, you need to put this into perspective and the viability of the business model. Those are all legitimate subject matters in my mind. But I just don't know what the purpose is of a certain drumbeat.
I think that Sansar is the next. I also hate that word, by the way. I think Sansar is the next chapter. It's so I would rather say Second Life is not dying, but it's evolving into Sansar. That's how I see it. Same company, same idea.
Platform.
I don't want to get off the subject because we're talking specifically about here. Is it useful? Is it helpful to consistently point out the prevalence of sex and devious things in Second Life in every other article, or is it titillation that the mainstream media does to get clicks? That's, to me, is the main issue.
Again, the mainstream media is hardly covering Second Life anymore.
Mm-hmm. And the question is why? And because
the question, Drax, the reason why Second Life is not being covered is because it's not growing. That is the fundamental reason. Other platforms have grown far faster and gotten far larger. Minecraft also is a user-generated content platform. it's about 100 million users.
Yeah.
And
So
we have
what?
to be realistic. Second Life has a active user base of about 600,000 people. It's as Clay Shirky said, it's a rounding error. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the fact that it's a niche, but that's the main reason. It has nothing to do with sex. It would get more coverage if it kept growing, and only some of it will be about sex. But there was the hype wave, and I was deeply involved when Second Life was in the middle of the hype wave. And the main problem was it just was not getting active users. It was not growing.
I agree with you, and that's exactly the reason why I stopped working for the NPR member station, because it was about growth, and it was about what stories can you cover that are relevant because they're growing. And I think that's a very, very narrow view of a very, very colorful and beautiful world. Maybe we should look at stuff beyond what is growing when we look at what could we cover. Maybe there's beauty in stuff that doesn't grow.
Yeah, well, I still write about Second Life on that basis. Is that, well, two things. It does seem to have a real positive effect for people who are disabled, for example, and also it does maintain some of the best content on the internet. So even if it's not growing, it's still. I've mentioned this constantly, that it still has some of the best user-generated content anywhere on the internet. Minecraft has an amazing user-generated content platform. It's really inspiring because it's actually being used more productively as an education tool too.
I don't mind, and actually on this show today we have a teacher who teaches chemistry and computer science and Minecraft. The way I look at things is that I'm doing hyper local advocacy journalism. I'm looking at my little town, and I'm constantly reporting on the little town's art scene, no matter what San Francisco thinks of it. That's how I define myself, and I love it. But again, let me ask this specifically. What would you say to people who were so taken aback? I think of these people as extremely shy, and some of them are ashamed that they're in Second Life, that they get satisfaction out of it because of the negative press. So here's an article that is wonderful, and then a day later you write this.
Well, like I said, I wish I had phrased it a little bit more gently, and I was crabby. Mainly, I was crabby at the reporter for kind of just letting Linden Lab guide him by the nose. I was like, dude, you're supposed to be a reporter. You should kind of drill a bit deeper. But really, it was directed at the reporting and at basically Linden Lab, because I think they've done a really bad job of cordoning off pornographic content. It's not at all a criticism of the user generation and the community, because that's basically what keeps me there, is all the awesome content in Second Life and the social immersion.
I maintain it's a perpetuating of a meme that is counterproductive. Is it necessary? Is it constructive to continuously point that out? If we have a media platform, Hamlet, we have an audience. You have a different, possibly larger, because you're covering much more different stuff. Probably, I think we have a responsibility. And again, I know what you're going to say. Well, do we have the responsibility to sugarcoat and rewrite the press release? No. I just don't get why this is in any way, shape, or form useful. Like Joe said, he mentioned sex. He mentioned there is weird stuff.
It's not like they were lying. It's not like he wrote there is nothing like it. There is no kinky stuff anywhere. It's mentioned. It's just not the main subject of the story.
It wasn't mentioned because Linden Lab guided him away from it. And really, again, that's sort of
Ziki Questi was in there, as my understanding. I didn't talk to her.
Linden Lab set him up with Ziki Questi, and I assume on the assumption that she was not going to take him to the bondage sims that are really huge.
But why would she if she doesn't go there? Look, this is what I don't understand. If I go to Amsterdam with my family, I don't show the kids we don't go to brothels.
But it's a perfect metaphor, though, because a large part of the tourist industry for Amsterdam is the red light district, and if you're gonna write,
people don't like it.
No, I know that, and it definitely has to be addressed in the travelogues. If only, here's how to avoid this area if you're not interested in it, and actually a lot of the tourist community is going there for that, and also just writing about Amsterdam. It's like I was in Amsterdam a few years ago, and to your point, Joe, they hate it, and it's also had a lot of negative effects. I
You
try
can quite
to.
easily write an article about Amsterdam saying all the good things there are, and then writing one or two short little bits about saying there's also the red light district and the coffee shops where you can buy drugs, and not go any further with it. And I think that's what happened with the article. He mentions the kinky adult side of Second Life twice, and that is clearly not his interest. And I'm completely happy with that, because with most journalists, it's exactly the other way around.
But wait, Hamlet, is it when Ziki is guiding him, is she then a corporate tool by not saying, oh, let's go, just to complete the picture, let's go see some brothel?
You'd have to ask her. I mean, she says something about, well, I'm sure there's some weird sex if you look for it. And I mean, I'm really surprised, just because anyone who's been in Second Life for any amount of time and followed the social media, like, they're just really amazingly appalling or just hard to process kind of stuff. I mean,
she says you can certainly explore any sexual fantasy you could imagine, which I think is quite clear and obvious. Doesn't leave anything to the imagination in my case.
you could detail a lot more if you wanted to.
But maybe you don't need to. That's the whole thing. Now we're going in circles. That's where we started. I think we don't come to a conclusion on that one. I respect your point of view completely, but I don't see it. And the question here remains, and I think it's a larger question. Second Life is an awesome microcosm that you can apply to this real life conundrum. What is journalism? What is journalism, and what is the duty of a journalist? I really don't think that if she guides this guy, and she doesn't see it because she's not interested in it, I don't know, it's her obligation to show him this. I don't think so.
If he said, can I see the adult side as well, then she should have shown him that. And he should have written about it. But, if he's not interested, good for him.
This is a chicken and egg question, Hamlet. Whose fault is the media have a megaphone, and they can do something and they can change the narrative, but they choose not to do that. So why is it that even the BBC at the 10th anniversary picks out a band that once was hyped in 2008, but now is no longer in Second Life because they can't make any money, and that's their reporting?
Oh, yeah.
That's lazy journalism. Swiss television, we're broadening the discussion here, but Swiss television had a piece last week. It followed the same preconceived format. Did a story where the reporter flew over two areas in Second Life, saw that they were empty, concluded from that Second Life is dead, talked to a business owner from Switzerland who didn't make it. The business owner told her, it doesn't work, there's no customers. Conclusion, dead, nothing works, let's move on.
Yeah. I think that's that's the basic theme that will even, started this whole thing in my post was, most journalists are lazy. And especially when you look at what they face with using Second Life and finding good content, you're talking literally 2-3 hours to even figure out how to use the interface. So to a certain extent, you can't blame journalists for being lazy because the barrier of entry is so high.
I had a 6-year-old figure out the interface in 10 minutes when I showed him. It doesn't matter.
But journalists are not as smart as 6-year-olds. I mean, general grown-ups are not
That's a very good point, yes.
Most grown-ups are not as smart as 6-year-olds. You have to accept that.
Oh, boy. I have to cut this off. Thank you so much for taking the time. I think I hope that we have constructive criticism. I think we have to agree to disagree on the point of it being necessary to just always point out. I would use the term regurgitate. I stand by that term.
I don't think the Second Life should always talk about sex. I think it should be a percentage of what is covered, just like I've mentioned. But it should be mentioned, and it should be addressed head on by the community. And that, I think,
here we go again. We will never end this. And I know you're citing graphs and stuff, but to me, this is still very anecdotal. I worked on a documentary about Stroker Serpentine, and I was at Aldi Sims. But beyond that, I never went back there because it doesn't follow my interest. I don't have those types of experiences, and nobody who I talk to has.
That's anecdotal on their side. I mean, I don't write about sex, generally speaking, in Second Life because I'm just not interested in virtual sex as a personal thing. I think some of the kind of personality psychological issues are really interesting, and I've written about them and I put them in my book. But the actual mechanics and the pornographic visuals, I could care less. And it's still important not only for us, but even for Linden Lab to realize that is, a very substantial part of their user base. In fact, I think T. Shepard's last data was suggesting that the amount of adult sims are growing while the G-rated ones are receding.
But then again, not all adult sims are actually adult. I mean, there is some adult on it, but it's not all extreme sex and violence. So it's,
when the sim itself is called Bukkake Bliss, that's probably its main selling point.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are also some that are rated adult, and that's, it's just skinny dipping.
All right, so there you have it. Listener, let us know what you think. Is it our journalistic duty, us that have this sort of megaphone, to always include virtual hanky-panky and emphasize that the hanky-panky is disturbing and crass, or is that just clickbait?
We had a long chat with him. We were going for 10 minutes, but it lasted a bit longer because we all got rather into it.
30 minutes.
Yeah, and I can we put perhaps the entire interview online as well?
No, Joe, that's a good idea. So we'll link to a download, and you can download and you can listen to the entire conversation. Also, next week we will have Honor McMillan on, another fabulous Second Life blogger, and she wrote a kind of rebuttal. I mean, she wrote a review of Zika. I can't pronounce her name. Zika Ghost's fabulous artist from Serbia. A review of her latest art installation. But then the article also touches on this controversy that erupted over Hamlet's post. So, real quick, a little bit of music to kind of give us a break. Ease us from Second Life drama to Minecraft miracle. Here is Slim Warrior, who was once all over Second Life. She probably left because of all the sex. But nonetheless, Slim Warrior is a great musician. I love her stuff. This tune is called In Here. Question is what that means. So that was Slim Warrior with her tune called In Here. And now, without any further ado, Mirek Hanschel, who appeared in Virtualize It from Spiegel TV in Germany. He's using Minecraft in the classroom to teach chemistry and computer science, and he's quite successful with this. In the documentary, by the way, he points out that Minecraft is better than Ritalin, describing the breakthroughs that he had with... I'm air quotes here, disruptive students. Those are my words, not his.
I hate all kids, so that's all right.
Yeah, we know that. So here's Mirek talking about what he wants to achieve with the Minecraft approach to teaching.
My first goal is that I use Minecraft as a simulation tool on the one side, yeah, and on the other hand, I use it as a collaboration and a cooperation tool. So the kids are not alone in front of a tablet or computer, something like this, and working themselves with a program. They have to work together, like in the real classroom. So it's more something like a hybrid situation, something like a not really augmented reality, but on the way to that. Yeah. So they work in virtual worlds. They love it because it's a big intrinsic motivation for them. It's a game for them. They like to play. Everybody likes to play. Yeah. As a child, it's no problem, but if you're going older, maybe most people, more adults, say it's not so good that you play, you have to do something for school. So this is a good point for me to catch them. A little bit like stealth learning. It's hidden inside the game or the world I modeled for them before we started the lesson.
So just a few facts real quick. So you model, it's a controlled environment, so you model that world. They can't just wander off by themselves. That was a question. How old are these kids? What grade levels? And how big is the classroom?
The classroom is around about 25 people, something like this. 22, 25, yeah, roundabout. Chemistry, the grade, 9th grades, okay. And the computer science is not a course or something like this. It's more, we call it in Germany, Arbeitsgemeinschaft.
So it's not a required subject, it's voluntary.
Exactly. For volunteers who like to do something with computer science, programming, tinkering, something like making things, yeah. And we don't write some tests, or I don't give them some credit points. It's just for their own interest. And it's amazing what they do after school in this computer club, if you like to call it. You do chemistry on the one hand. So what do they do in chemistry? The famous word you've seen in the documentation from Mr. Thoma is about the atomic model Mr. Bohr invented some years ago, yeah? To learn that every atom is with the protons and neutrons inside, and the electrons are on something like shells around the nucleus, yeah? And this law you can learn on the one hand with a book and with a worksheet, for example, or you play a game. And the big difference is that the game is much more dynamic. So if you make a mistake, you just play the level, if you want to call it a level, again. Tell us, how do the kids go about in Minecraft specifically? How do they discover these different components? Do they explode things on the ground? Do they have to search for them? For my 9th graders, I have some chests with components inside to build an atom. Yeah, so there are 3 chests: one with the protons, the other one with the neutrons, and the last one for the electrons. And then I give every kid atomic workbench. And only if the combination of these components is correctly together, you get an atom. And how do you see the result? And when you have the correct result, what happens? What is your visual confirmation that you succeeded? Yeah. This is very important to talk with the students about it, because it's just a model, yeah? In the game, you have yellow balls. They are electrons. It's very funny to talk about them, that they look like tennis balls now, but it's just a model. So if they get an atom as a correct result, it is just a model too. It looks like the classic atomic symbol, like 3 ellipses around a circle or something like this. It just looks like an atomic model. You just put this item then out, and you have some atom constructed or crafted. And then you see it, and in the collaborative environment, of course, then your teammates
see them, and then you have a feeling of success. And in the documentary, you see, and you talk about this, and I think it's fascinating that kids, of course, have very high aspirations sometimes, and they want to do something very complex, and then they kind of fail at it. So they want to make a very complex molecule, but then they resort to actually going back and doing the hydrogen. So talk about this, how important this is, because this is also something that is so dear to my heart when I criticize the school system. We don't allow for safe failure, and failure is important.
Yeah, exactly. Failing is very important, and you have to learn when you are doing mistakes or failures. On the one hand, there are some school systems or credit point systems where you are better not make some mistakes, because then you don't have enough points or so. But it's more important to see what was the mistake when I learned something, and then to repeat the step again, and to avoid the mistake. Yeah, I have no problem with it that the students try to make the largest atoms as possible in the game. Yeah, because they will fail. I know it.
Now you need, of course, time. What you're describing, the fail and fail often, is of course the mantra in Silicon Valley, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of private schools that adhere to that. But with No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top, the run-of-the-mill public school in the United States, I would argue, is very much obsessed with data and linking teacher evaluation to student performance. But I'm getting off a tangent. The point is, when you do this in Minecraft and you allow for this failure, you need the time.
You have to reduce the components of the world. Yeah. So I did a lot of mistakes. The first one was that I created the world like something like Second Life. A lot of houses with walls and roofs. Everything was hidden. So there was something like a challenging, mystic atmosphere for the students. So I thought they are much more intrinsically motivated to explore the world. Yeah. But this was exactly the problem, what you said about the time. Yeah, it took too much time that the students went around the corners and so on. So now my favorite world is completely flat land. Nothing else. Just place a flat land in Minecraft, maybe put a fence around it that students cannot escape.
Oh, you went from something inspiring like Second Life with lots of art to explore to a summer prison. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry for that, but completely flat land, and just put the necessary things inside the world. For example, the chest with the atomic components. Yeah, and then the result you have is that kids are again exploring the world, but they are much faster on the way you want to have them, without extrinsically saying them you have to go there. They just do it themselves, no matter of time, that they run to the chest and open them and first take everything out, every electron outside which are in the chest. So that's all the other students say, hey, I don't have enough electrons. And then I say, for example, Peter has collected all, ask him, And so all kids run to Peter and say to him, hey, please give me some electrons. I have to build, I want to build an atom, So Peter has to give it out. So you have much more communication, collaboration inside these virtual worlds as in the normal real classroom. Yeah. If I teach this topic in the normal classroom, I know that my kids in my class in front of me is thinking, but not loud. But inside Minecraft, I always can watch them, what they do, including the atomic workbench. I can open the same workbench where a student works with a right click like the student did, and I see what he's doing now. I see where he places the electrons, where his mistakes are, what he's doing wrong. I don't interrupt him. So don't go to the student, let him think. Time for thinking is much more important than putting everything inside like a funnel, inside the head, and say, so this is the thing you have to learn, and after 45 minutes you have to learn everything. This is wrong. Yeah,
it's fascinating, and you said also in the documentary, in the Spiegel documentary, by the way, director Philip Thoma did a fabulous job, I think. Very glad how he did this. You say that Minecraft is better than Ritalin, which I love this phrase. And we're facing arguably an epidemic in doping the children so that they adhere to a system that is by design not natural for their learning capabilities, right? You just hinted at that, the type of anxiety inducing, faster, you got to do this now, you don't have time, finish this. You give them time, but you also focus them on a task.
Yeah, this is very important to focus the students on a special kind of task, yeah? Because every student needs another kind of task. Yeah, this is something we call heterogeneity, is it right?
Heterogeneous learning.
Perfect. So we have a special word in Germany like Binnendifferenzierung, but I don't know how to translate it. Yeah, it means that you had, for example, take a picture in your head, like you have different types of learners. Yeah, different kinds of learners inside your class, your course. Different students. The one is amazing. He knows everything, like a rich background with a family, like academic people. On the other hand, you have the family with a low income, low salary, no way to get to digital media, with the competence correctly. So large spectrum, the big picture, if you like, yeah. So the different types of learners too, it's part of it. So. If I have normal worksheets, maybe I have some scaffolded worksheets, much more difficult, for the faster learners. But in Minecraft, I just have this one world and not, for example, 5 different worksheets or 2 different kinds of books.
It's amazing. So the world is regulating, it's leveling the playing field, you're saying.
It's regulating itself, because the learners inside the game choose the place in the world, in the virtual one, where they want to learn. The one is more at the corner, for example, of the virtual building. The other one is just, if he spawns inside the world, is digging a tunnel and is vanishing there because he is, I don't know, it's maybe better for him to learn underground or so. And you have always some groups which are forming inside the virtual world. Different students come together at a special place inside the virtual world and learn together.
You are happy to let go of some control, right?
Yeah, it is something like a rubber band. Not completely let them play. This is not correct. If I see that something is happening inside some communication processes or so, which is not so good for their personal development,
you keep a watchful eye over what's happening so that they don't go completely off the rails, and you intervene when they do. Mm-hmm.
There's a new verb I had to learn. It's called to grieve. Yeah, this means that kids are doing bad stuff.
We in Second Life know that very well.
Just placing some hard to dig stones around me so I can't escape or something. This is harmless. There are much more bad things. And I have a special method. I think this. I just built a virtual jail, like in Monopoly. If the police is catching you, you have to go into the jail in the Monopoly game. And just wait 1 or 2 rounds without getting pocket money. So I do the same in the classroom. If somebody is grieving, another player, I just teleport him inside this virtual jail and just let them stay his 5 minutes. That he thinks about what he has done wrong, because this is another effect compared to if I put the student outside the room. If he's outside the classroom, so the real one, he cannot see what the other students create for wonderful things during this time when he stays in prison. He sits in the virtual jail, but sits at the same time in the real classroom on a chair.
Absolutely fascinating. Let me ask you, because here when we spoke, whenever we speak with teachers who use Second Life in the classroom, there is always everybody who is enthusiastic here and actually has some success they run up against enormous opposition of administrators or fellow teachers who say, no, this is not how a classroom should work. Games have nothing to do with the classroom. There should be a book, and this is how we've done it, and this is how it works. How do you deal with this? Is this happening that fellow teachers look at you like, oh my God, look what he's doing. He's corrupting the youth?
There were more the colleagues who asked me, what are you doing there? Yeah. So the math teacher or some foreign language teacher, they asked me, how do you teach with this game? Yeah. I just saw it somewhere, for example, a Let's Play or a kid talked about it, and I just saw blocks. How can you teach with this stuff? Do they count the blocks for mathematics, or what are you doing there? And I just explained them the game like I do now at the moment here in the interview. And I just recommended for them and said, just try it. Ask me, I help you, I create the world with you, and we will talk about it, how we can put this tool, Minecraft is a learning tool, inside your topic for civics or art or literature or what else, STEM lessons, STEM topics. So there are many colleagues who are highly interested and motivated to try it, but they don't have the time. They have so much to do with other tasks in school. Sorry, but it's not their fault. Yeah,
no, I understand. I fully understand. They're really caught between a rock and a hard place. It's the same here.
School system.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same here. The teachers are burdened with administrative duties and what they call accountability.
It's totally hard to measure. And don't forget that the most important step after working with Minecraft in the classroom is to bring the students back into the real world. Yeah?
Right.
Don't let them play inside the virtual game and say, that's it, nothing else. Forget what you feel with your senses, with your eye, with your nose, the smell of something. For example, in chemistry, the smell of boiling tea.
Right.
How do you want to simulate it in Minecraft? It is impossible. So this is the biggest step I have to do as a teacher in this moment to bridge the gap between virtual and real life, so that the kids leave school after 12 or 13 years and say, hey, I've learned everything I need for my real life, including how to be competent with digital media. Yeah.
Very good point. So because the digital media competency, I think, is kind of a positive byproduct that you're teaching as well, right? I mean, everybody's talking about media literacy, but what you're doing, it's kind of like on the side, and you're getting an education on that too.
Yeah, exactly, it is. And the second topic I teach, computer science, is my hobby horse. Is the right idiom? I have to say that I use a so-called a modification for Minecraft. It's called ComputerCraft. So you can place virtual computers inside the Minecraft world and boot them and program them with a real computer programming language called Lua. Mm-hmm. You have virtual computers and turtles. Real little nice turtles, but they just look like a block. And with a right click, you can program them with the scripting language, and you can animate them. They can go forward, turn left, place blocks, destroy blocks, fight, something like this. And a new modification of this mod called ComputerCraft EDU is especially for younger children or programming beginners, if you like to call these kind of people. So you program it in a visual style, just by dragging and dropping some commands inside a matrix. So you say you have an arrow, a green arrow showing in front, and you place it inside the matrix, and then the turtle goes one square in this direction.
Mm-hmm. So this is very similar. Sorry to interject. Are you familiar with Scratch?
The idea is similar, exactly. And then I thought about it. How can I connect the virtual and the real worlds together, like I did with chemistry and talking with the kids about it after the lesson? And I wrote a mod for Minecraft to control real robotic systems. So you have to imagine that you have your virtual Minecraft worlds and some virtual electronic logic circuits, and you jump on a pressure plate in the game, and on your desk, on your real desk, a Lego computer starts to turn. So you have a connection
between the physical world and the virtual world. controlling and animating the physical world.
The positive side effect is that the kids are talking about, what have I done here? I've created a connection between virtual and real world. I'm asking the distance or tilt sensor which position he has now. What would be if I have other sensors, for example, and then you have the same discussions about digital media competences too.
This is amazing. What's what age kids we're talking about? What grade level is that?
I have graders between 6th and 12th grade working together in groups in the virtual world and learning new things.
Is teaching programming or computer literacy or computer science, scripting, things like that, is not part of the regular curriculum in the German gymnasium. Am I right?
Not exactly. In some states it is.
When they talk about computer literacy in the classroom, they teach the children basically how to use...
Office.
Yeah, exactly.
I know these discussions. Some friends asked me some years ago, hey, you study computer science, you can help me with Excel.
We're training secretaries. Meanwhile, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and we need to kind of fix that, maybe.
This is not my favorite kind of computer science lessons, exactly, as you can imagine. So I like more the tinkering stuff, yeah? Do you know the Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have one.
There's a great story behind it. I don't know if you know it, because they invented the Raspberry Pis for the first semester students, because they say, hey, I can create a web page. I know HTML, so I'm a programmer. Yeah, but this is stupid. These students, it is a generation, I can't believe that every second of them has really opened a computer in his life, like we did some decade or 2 decades ago. So they have their Xbox, their PlayStation, but I don't know if they take a screwdriver and open it and look, hey, what is inside, yeah? Exactly. So this is the reason why they invented the Raspberry Pi, to have a cheap, low-cost, single-board computer where you can tinker with, yeah? You have some input-output ports, and you can program it, and it doesn't hurt if it is damaged or so. Take the kids at their hand and say, hey, here's something magical. Let's open it and try to reinvent the wheel, for example. Why not? Yeah, it costs time, but you learn so much with it, and so much during the topic with your students together. There are so many competences you learn, not only digital media competence, with personal organization, working in the group, yeah, something like this.
It is absolutely vital, because otherwise we're just relegated to passive, recipients of media, passive consumers, rather than really understanding. I just want to throw in the BBC. This was reported a couple months ago. That the BBC is giving the Raspberry Pi free to schools in the UK, which is amazing, and I hope that that maybe catches on in other countries. I want to ask you, and I don't know what your familiarity is with Second Life. Of course, we believe as Second Life residents and evangelists that Second Life is very superior to everything else.
Yeah, I played Second Life in 2007, maybe? I don't know. It was not so perfectly with the graphics and so on, but that's another topic. I think the advantages of Minecraft is that you can host your own server on your personal teacher laptop, on your school web server, something like this. Students can work after school 7 days per week learning as an environment, if you like. I use a special mod of Minecraft, however you like to call it. It's called Minecraft EDU. It is from the company Teacher Gaming from Finland, and they created it in license from Mojang, and just put special teacher administration inside the game, where I can administer the game, the world, the students, or what else I like, very easy inside the game without typing some commands in the text chat, yeah? So I just can freeze all students or teleport them to me, to my coordinates, or give them something, for example, like the turtles they have to program now.
This is something in Second Life only Linden Lab employees have that power.
I use the Minecraft EDU version together with the Computercraft EDU mod and the mod Wheel Robots I programmed. This is all the stuff, the components I need for my computer science classes. Yeah, and for chemistry, I, for example, use another mod called Advanced Chemistry, but the problem there is it is developed for an older Minecraft version 1.4.7, and now we use 1.8.2, I think, as a newest version.
Game mechanics, are they important? Are they a driving factor with the students? Do they motivate them more? Or do you motivate? I mean, obviously, you give them certain goals.
I take control inside the game where it is needed to. Yeah, this is, if you like, some kind of mechanics I influence. If I see that a student is doing some griefing stuff or is trying to escape the world, I put him back. This is one kind of game mechanic, yeah, I can control, and the students learn it. Yeah, they see Mr. Hanschel has the last word, what I can do in this world. Yeah, but do you know Brunner?
No.
Jerome Brunner, it was an American psychologist, wrote something about, I don't know in English, in German it is Entdecken des Lernens, exploring learning.
Jerome Brunner, American psychologist, still alive at 99 years of age, teaches or was at Harvard and is a research fellow at the New York University School of Law.
He had 4 points. The best conditions are for exploring learning. So one thing is that you have to push the creativity of the student and to give some way of intrinsic motivation, and this is the big thing Minecraft offers with the game mechanics. Yeah, you can walk where you like. Yeah, just to the borders there stop. Mr. Hanschel said, but the students can walk there where they like, and they can learn where they like. Yeah, they are represented by an avatar inside the game. So it is not like I play a game in Ego's shooter perspective. Yeah, and nobody sees me. I always see the players.
Right, the third person view. The same in Second Life, but I'm sorry to interject here, but in Second Life, you have argument. We're talking about extrinsic and intrinsic learning, broadly speaking. I would argue that in Minecraft, not the way you're doing it, but the way I've seen it done, there's always a reward system. And it's not that I'm against it. I completely understand that certain kids need rewards more than others. There are others who just do it to do the best job that they can. They don't need any, gummy bears, hey, the good job, that kind of stuff. But it seems to me that in the way Minecraft is used, or when people talk about Second Life versus Minecraft in teaching, is that Minecraft is better because there are some sort of brownie points that you can reward people with. And you do that also. You see in the documentary when the kids do the hydrogen, they succeed in creating the hydrogen a molecule. They can tie it to a pig, and then the pig flies up in the air. Now, I'm not criticizing. I think that's a marvelous idea and a marvelous payoff when they succeed. But my question is that something essential for you? Why it works? Is it an essential factor that Minecraft works so well that you have this reward system?
Yeah, I never thought about it, but I could give the students who succeeded a certificate with a flying pig.
Yeah, you can print. That would be cool. You can print it on a poster.
It's much important than A+ or so.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the first one who let a pig fly in my life. Yeah, it is something like Monty Python. Yeah, this is my kind of humor, and I grew up with juggling and fire blowing, and I was a magician in my youth, yeah. So I always had this other kind of feedback when I did shows in the kindergarten, or if somebody married or so. I just showed them nonsense, stupid things, yeah. And they believed me, and I get massive applause. So this is the reason why I put this kind of humor inside my learning sessions or learning arrangements. So why not? I just don't forget, please, that I have to give them a point at the end of the year.
Yeah, they need to be graded at the end of the year. Yes.
I can't say he gets the A+ because he a pig was flying around. I have to check if he learned everything correctly about the atomic model Niels Bohr told us. So, but it's much more intrinsic motivation if I use Minecraft as a simulation tool where we can work all together and doing some. I told it in the documentary, stealth learning. Yeah, I just hide the things the students have to learn inside something which is very funny. Yeah, it is a coexistence. Yeah, between different methods, and we have to learn that it is a good coexistence. If you have virtual worlds like Minecraft or Second Life in an educational context.
So that was Mirik Hanschel. We have tons of links on the blog about his work. And also I've been researching some terminology that we used that we couldn't figure out what the English word was. For example, Binnendifferenz, beautiful German word, Jo. And we're linking to Wikipedia articles and other articles that contextualize this. Mirik, by the way, is also speaking at the Science on Stage Festival next month in London, representing Germany with his Minecraft concept. So congratulations, Mirik. You're an inspiration even for us deviant addicts in Second Life.
I really like Minecraft and what people are doing with it and how it's being used and the very easy way of using it. I really appreciate it, but I'm such a visual person. I just can't get past the way it looks. I know it reminds me too much of all the games I used to play in the 80s, and I've been there, done that. I want pretty pictures.
You're not the demographic. You're not in sixth grade.
I know. I'm too old.
All right, so that's the end of the show, and we're totally over time, but that's fine. I mean, it was a fascinating show this week, and I'm not gonna cut it down to an hour. I'll leave it over a little bit. But anyway, what are you doing this weekend in SL or in real life if you have one, Jo?
Oh, blimey. I'm doing loads in real life, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. There is this story that came up, and we didn't really mention it, but I want to quickly mention it anyway. The SS Galaxy, this massive cruise ship that we've had in Second Life for quite a long time, quite recently, it was sunk. They quit. They stopped with it, and it seems that Linden Lab did something they've never done before, as far as I know, is that they acquired it. They're bringing it back, and it's going to be a Linden Lab sort of cruise ship, which is very interesting, and it's something completely new and something to keep an eye on.
The SS Galaxy is a massive cruise ship, and I believe, I don't know for sure, the folks left because the tier was too damn high.
It is.
And they couldn't sustain those expenses, and Linden Lab is taking it over, which is very interesting. I applaud them for it. On the other hand, they must be aware that this possibly is opening Pandora's box, because everybody might now be saying, you know what, I have a historically significant sim and I can't pay for it. Linden Lab, come on, take it over. Why are you choosing them over me?
Yeah, it would be really nice to talk to Linden about this. So maybe if one of the Lindens who are listening, and we know you are, could perhaps come in our show and talk to us about it.
By the way, I'll be on Monday. I'll be at the SVVR conference and expo in San Jose, and I probably bump into a bunch of Lindens. So I will actually ask them. If you are in the San Jose region, there's a banner on our site with a promo code that gets you into the SVVR conference. Everybody will be there. Everybody that has anything to do with VR. Palma Lucky, my conservative Southern Californian friend, I will be talking politics and police brutality with him. Not. But I'm excited about this.
Loads of that in 1920s Berlin.
I will try to get some goodies to give away to listeners. Hardware stuff. Leap Motions, maybe Oculi. Who knows?
Linden Lab toys. T-shirts. Badges.
Project Sunsar T-shirts. Ooh.
Another thing, this weekend they're celebrating the 7th anniversary of Bay City, a very large sort of vintage 1940s, 50s America-themed sim with a massive parade and lots of parties. Berlin is going to be celebrating their 6th anniversary at the end of this month as well. So I'll be partying in Bay City this weekend, and then soon we're going to be partying in Berlin.
Bay City is great. We're winding down the podcast. As a matter of fact, within my internal planning, next week will be the last show, and then we're doing reruns over the summer until season 3 starts in September. But we'll have some stuff from the SVVR conference, and we might do a live show from SL12B, right, Jo?
Yeah, good idea.
SL12B, by the way, Ziola put together a music fest, and they're holding auditions at the Lavender Field, the place that Brick does her Feed a Smile operation. These are auditions for musicians to be then playing at the special music fest that Linden Lab is putting together, Ziola Linden is putting together, I should say. Really credit to her. She's doing a great job. Musicians, I know you've been kind of slacking off sending us material, but maybe you could get your butt off the couch and go to the Lavender Field for an audition, okay?
You know what musicians are like.
I
I've
know.
dated one. Don't get me started.
Oh boy, I know how they are. I went on tour with them.
Just stay away from musicians.
Stay away from musicians, folks.
They're trouble.
All right, Jo. Great show. Thanks. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Yes, auf Wiedersehen.
The Drax Files Radio Hour with Jo Yardley is a weekly production of Basic Drax Entertainment. The show is supported by Leap Motion, Stitcher, Fateware by Damien Fate, Giza Creations, Arrows Avatars, Maven Homes, Mad Bee Productions, Bot Girls Identity Circus, Ison, Caravel Design, Vega Creations, Humanoid Animations, Loki Elliott, Botanical, Death Row Designs, Fallen Gods Incorporated, What's Next, Abra Animations, Blue Moon Enterprises, Avacon, and Landscapes Unlimited. Contact the show via Skype, Drax Files, Avatar, Drax Files, or email radio@draxfiles.com.